guys! So in today's video I wanted to talk about my thoughts on art style and how to keep it consistent. First off, I want to say sorry that this video is uploaded on a Monday, not a Sunday. You can check the description if you want more details, but basically I was going on vacation, pre-recorded the video, and stood up all night to do so. When I rewatched the video just to make sure everything was good, the audio was super soft because I didn't want to wake anybody up, and so I wanted you guys to be able to hear me. I was gonna arrive back home yesterday and then just re-recorded audio and post it yesterday, just later at night, and then I actually got home at 1 this morning, so on a Monday. And so, yeah, sorry about that, but here we go. Little late video, but it's all good. So I want to talk about art style just because, two reasons. I made a video a long time ago. I haven't watched it since I uploaded it, about art style, my thoughts on it, and how I found my art style. That's the video's title. I haven't watched it since then, and so I don't remember what I said, but I just have a feeling that my views right now are way different than they were back then, and I thought maybe I should just do an updated kind of video. I don't really recommend watching the video just because I haven't since I uploaded it. So the second reason that I want to talk about this is because oftentimes people ask me what style my drawings are in. The way I understand that question is the way I asked it when I was younger, because I used to think that contemporary artists or artists that I really liked kind of just followed a certain style, and I could Google it, everybody would draw like that, I could learn how to draw it that way and just be copying a certain style. What I learned is that basically every artist has a unique style. So when people ask a general question about what style a drawing or art is in, it's such a broad question because style is a word that encompasses so many things that it's really hard to understand what a person's asking. It can refer to a period or a movement in art, such as Impressionism. It can refer to a general category for contemporary artists like realism, semi-realism, surrealism, that kind of thing. And then it can refer to themes portrayed in art. So you could say somebody has a feminine and girly style or a dark and morbid style, and oftentimes refers to personal characteristics of one's own art, you know, having your own personal style. And so, of course, all art can be categorized with very general labels, realism, semi-realism, surrealism, abstract, modern art, and then slightly more specific categories related more to art movements and styles. So manga, art nouveau, impressionism, that kind of thing. So technically everybody draws in a general, broad kind of style because we put labels on everything, but every artist's style is unique. See, the word can be used to describe so many things that it's really a weird question to ask about what style somebody's drawings are in. And so whether somebody fits into a period or a movement or even pursues the same themes as somebody else, they will always have their own specific art style as long as they aren't copying anyone else's artwork and they're still creating original content. I'll get to this in a second. Basically, even if you are following a style, you still have your own style, you know? See, the word style has such a broad definition that it's really hard to know what you're talking about, and so the question is kind of a weird one. So basically, even if you're fitting into a period or a movement in art, you still will have your unique style. So, for example, even though both of them were part of the Art Nouveau movement, there's glaring differences between the art styles of Alphonse Mucha and Gustav Klimt. Same with pre-Raphaelite artists like John William Waterhouse and Dante Gabriel Rossetti. If you look at their artwork, completely different even though they were part of the same movement. Even in anime, each artist has a signature style. I was going to look up some anime artists, but then I don't watch it or I don't read it, and so I don't want to be a poser. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about this, but if you're into anime or manga, you'll know what I'm talking about. Everybody has their unique art style. You can tell the difference between two different manga or anime artists, even though they use the similar features. That's why I think it's a weird question to ask, and a lot of times I think it's asked by younger artists or like beginners, just because they don't get that you don't really draw in a certain style. Your art is categorized under different labels, but you have your own art style. And so, in my opinion, the word style should refer to somebody's personal and unique approach to art based on their experiences and influences, because your style is basically molded by all of your experiences, both good and bad. So with negative and positive experiences in mind, that'll affect the way you approach different themes and subjects in your artwork and the way you will portray them. So if you have a negative experience with something, you will probably subconsciously or consciously portray that in a negative way. Same with positive things, we'll portray them in a positive light. And so oftentimes artists, especially because they're emotive, they will be very influenced by artistic and creative things. So they could be books, movies, paintings, nature, people, or ideas. Positive or negative opinions of those will affect your artwork. So art styles are completely unique, even if you're heavily influenced by one or two artists and wish you could draw and paint like they do. Unless you're copying them, you're not going to have the exact same style as them. So people might be able to see some similarities from techniques you've picked up from your inspirations, but you're still going to be influenced and not copying them. I should hope your goal isn't to take over their style completely and just be a knockoff, because that's not cool. You shouldn't copy people's art. Taking inspiration from it as much as you want is amazing, just don't copy it, you know? If you would like me to explain the difference between copying and taking inspiration, I can make a video on that, but I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't really want to explain that, but if you want me to, I can make another video on that. And so, in my opinion, being inspired and having influences, no matter how heavy, is encouraged in art. It's bringing good elements from what inspires you into your art, and a lot of times it involves borrowing techniques from different artists. But this all ties basically into having a consistent art style and what makes up an art style. So in the other video that I talked about how I found my art style, I think I just worded the title weirdly / I just worded stuff weirdly, because back then I didn't believe that you can copy people's art style, or that, you know, I had a specific art style. I have semi-realism, that's what I've always had. But yeah, in today's video I kind of just wanted to say that you can't really force an art style upon yourself. You can't take one on, you just have one and you develop it based on your influences. So if you want your art to look more similar to somebody else's, you take influences and inspirations from that and things similar to that, but you're not technically going to be finding an art style, you know, you're just going to be developing your own based on experiences and things that you really like. Because that's kind of the nice part about art, is because you can see how every single artist views the world and, you know, portrays it differently than the other one, even if they have similar themes or techniques that they're using in their artwork. Being unique is desired. So if you see an artist that you really like, or if you're young and you're looking at my art and you wish you had my style, I would encourage you to not. Just because I still have so many mistakes in my artwork. I'm so far from perfect, and I don't want to lead anybody astray. I don't want you to think that just because you see an artist that you really like, you need to do everything exactly the way they do, because it's nice to do things your own way. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments that are going to be like, oh my gosh, you have such a basic style, your artwork sucks, that kind of thing. Calm yourself. I do digital art. I like to draw pretty girls. I never said I had the most unique style in the world or the most amazing one, so chillax. People ask me to talk about this. So if you don't like your art style and you quote-unquote want to find another one, the best thing you can do is keep learning new techniques and finding new themes in your art, and then your style will develop, but you won't technically find your style. So the best piece of advice that I have for you is to not look for a style. If you're unhappy with your art, I guarantee that a big reason of that will be a lack of understanding of some of the fundamentals. So practice as much as you can. A lot of times, if you don't really understand how anatomy, lighting, shading, environments, like perspective, how those work, you're going to be very unhappy with your art just because you see it, you see things wrong in it, but you don't exactly know what it is and you think it's your style. It's not really that. A lot of times it's from an incorrect or incomplete understanding of fundamentals. I know I don't have the best ones, but I have an okay understanding. Obviously I can always improve, but I've noticed that since I've learned how anatomy works a little bit more, I've liked my art more, just because I can figure out how I want to draw things myself, just because I know what they look like in real life, rather than not knowing what something looks like and then just going to other artists who have already stylized a lot of the fundamentals in art, such as lighting and anatomy, and then trying to copy that, because you're not going to have a full understanding of how things look and work and their forms and shapes if you're just going to be taking inspiration from artists. So please try to use references. If you can draw from real life, then please do it. It will help you immensely. So basically everybody's art is kind of like a simplified and stylized way that they perceive the world. And so if you're just going to be referencing art, it's not going to really help you grow too much. It's good to be inspired by art, but don't really reference it too much unless you're using a lot of classical painters and masters for your references, because they're obviously amazing. They have such an amazing understanding of lighting, forms, composition, that kind of thing. Those are really good to do studies on, but not really studies on a lot of contemporary artists, you know, people like me. I'm gonna be real. because I have a pretty limited understanding of how a lot of things work, and then I take that limited understanding and simplify it even more. So if you're just going to be studying art like mine, you're not going to be learning a lot of things. You might like what it looks like, but then basically taking that and then further simplifying it in your head, it's not going to help you grow as an artist. Also, if you think that your drawings are too common and mainstream, you know, you have a very common style, just go back to the master painters and look for inspiration through different kinds of artists. So I personally follow artists of all sorts. There's like really girly, simple ones, kind of like how I draw. Then there's realistic oil painters, there's surrealist painters, there's morbid and darker art, and then there's like Disney concept artists, and there's also sculptors in the list of people I follow. So I personally don't limit myself to only certain kind of artists with the sort of audience I want. I look for elements of inspiration from all sorts of artists with super different visions. So I would recommend that. If you're not satisfied with your style and your influences, check out a bunch of different kinds of artists, and they don't actually have to even be like painters. They can be photographers, sculptors, any kind of creative. As you become a better artist, you'll figure out what you like and what you don't like to draw and see in your art. So yeah, basically my thoughts on style are you don't find it. It just develops from influences from around you, and it's okay to be influenced by different artists and things as long as you're not trying to copy them, because that will not help you grow. Keeping a consistent art style, I think, just figuring out what you like and don't like to see in your artwork, and changing what you don't like, replacing it with things you do. Also, a better understanding of the fundamentals. I hope that made sense. I really, really do. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you have any words of wisdom to add, or maybe a point that you would like to make known to me that I have neglected to mention or think about, that would be pretty cool. As always, this is my opinions on the subject, maybe trying to help a couple of little younger artists who are a little bit confused about topics like this. That's just my opinion on it. The painting that I'm painting in the background, by the way, took around, I think, 6 hours or 7 hours. I painted it on my Wacom Intuos Pro, and I actually did that for my Wacom Instagram takeover a while back. It's a good tablet, it's a medium size, super comfortable. I know that's random, but I just thought I'd mention it. And I'm using Krita, as always, to paint. And if you would like to get prints of this, or like tote bags, goodies, or even a throw pillow or a tapestry for your wall with this painting on it, you can check out my Society 6 down in the description. The last thing I want to say is I'm going to be closing my Ticktail shop on the 20th. My Ticktail shop is where I sell all my original drawings and paintings. So if you'd like to grab one, that would be pretty cool. I would really appreciate it. And if you'd like to, I'm going to have a 15% off code down in the description so that you can grab arts of mine that are original with 15% off. But yeah, cool. Thank you so much for watching. All my social media links will be down in the description. Everything else that I neglected to mention will be down in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave me a like, or maybe subscribe, because I put out new videos every single Sunday. I know today was Monday, but I had a reasonable excuse for why I didn't post. Okay, cool. Talk to you guys next Sunday. Bye.